Top of the morning, family member. I guess this is gonna be one of them dark podcasts, but anytime you feeling it, you gotta get it out, man. You got to make it happen like the captain. And a podcast don't necessarily mean you got to be in no room. You could be driving, you could be wherever you gonna be at. If you're feeling the spirit or you feeling you need to address certain things, that's all the energy that you need to inspire you to get it out. So I was thinking about the word relationships and what the word relationship really means. Whether it's with my significant other, whether it's with a friend, whether it's with a relative, or whether it's with my kids, it's called relationships. So the first word on relationships is relate. We have to be able to relate to one another inside a ship. Now, what is a ship? It's something that's on the water. It's deserted on the water. How about that? No land in sight. So you trapped and confined to a certain area. So when you're dealing in a relationship, it's just you and that person trying to relate in a cordial space. And you're learning one another, you're trying to understand one another in the small space that you have. And in that process of understanding and learning one another, you start to identify what you're dealing with or who they are as people, and if you truly relate with them. Because they say that blood is not as genuine as they should be when it relates to who you love. Because sometimes we can't relate to our family members just because of what they bring to the table, and what they bring is not our cup of tea. So we disassociate ourselves and not dealing with them because of the energy or the vibe they bring. We can't relate to that shit. What's important in a relationship? The first thing is the relationship should have the same energy, the same vibe, the same motion. This being on the same frequencies, because we're relating is like good energy. When relationships go bad, it's because the energy the frequencies start It's like turning a radio looking for a good channel, and you getting all this frequency in the middle and all this, you know, trying to tune up to something or change your radio to a better station for better music. And so in relationships, that those misunderstandings, those disagreements, the way you treat me, the way I treat you, the frequency is off, so it brings dissatisfaction. When you do so much for a person and they don't reciprocate that same love, the frequency get a little twisted up. You start to feel some kind of way. When you see people and what their best interests are, and it's what you could do for them, or it's what they could do for you, once they identify that you're not in the best interest of the relationship and you just in the best interest of yourself, you start to see the frequency of that relationship being compromised or being interrupted by different energy. So we start pulling back. You start pulling back because you ain't feeling the vibe. I always tell people, don't love me the way you want to love me the way I want to be loved. Because the way you loving me ain't what I'm feeling. I don't feel that energy. It's very important that we love people the way they want to be loved, not the way you want to love them, because the way you love them ain't working for them or us. So the frequency begins to get distorted. I'm on my way to the work site doing this podcast, man. I'm feeling good about it. When you have put so much energy inside relationships and they don't return that same love or return the same sacrifices that you put in over a period of time, it start to feel unbalanced. Like I done all this for this person, and the minute I call on them, it's always an issue. It's always a problem. It's always I can't do, or you begin to feel like what you've done for them is in vain. You feel like, damn, I wish I would have never done it so they could see the value of me and what they would have been if you wouldn't have stepped in, by the grace of God, to help people in situations, or to guide people in situations, or to support people in situations. In every relationship, there's some value in it. We gonna learn something, and we also gonna appreciate something. Some things we not gonna like. And one thing my father always taught me, he said, man, and I always say this, and it's a ritual with me now. He said, you so focused on a picture, you forget about the frame that's bigger than the picture. Well, the frame is holding the picture up for you to see, but you so focused on the picture, if it wasn't for the frame, the motherfucker picture wouldn't be on the wall. At least not with a strong foundation. So some people don't look at the foundation of life and the foundation of situations, meaning that they take a lot of things for granted. They don't value or appreciate your sacrifice, your good energy, your good understanding, your ability to let shit go or be the bigger person, they don't value that structure. Not at the first altercation. They begin to value it, or they begin to say you tripping when you begin to lashing out because you choose not to give them the good vibe. And this is why I say whatever you put in is what you get out. When you being the good positive person and the other person being a good negative person are not reciprocating the same love, and you call them on their shit, they think you tripping. And so the relationship begins to suffer because of that. It begins to suffer because of that, because don't nobody want to see, the other person does not want to recognize that they ain't put in enough, or just put in as much as you put in. See, it's something that's called unbalanced. You have to have balance in everything in life that you do. When you wrong, you should do some right. When a person have sacrificed for you, you should sacrifice for them or sacrifice for others. But it'd be in your best interest to sacrifice for those who sacrifice for you. So the balance, so whatever you have going on with that individual is balanced. See, because they say balance is the key to success. We have to balance our checkbooks. We have to balance how much water we put in the pot when we cook it. We have to, balance life. Some of us act the damn fool outside of work, and then when we get to work, we want to talk like we proper and nice and all this old bull faking, but you balancing life because you adapting to the situation. So it's always important to balance your relationships and give back to your relationships, whether it be with your daughter, whether it be with your cousin, your family, or your significant other. Just as much as they did, you should do in return. And if you decide to disassociate yourself or cut ties in that situation, you would cut ties knowing that you showed the same love and you have no regrets. But if you cutting ties with that person knowing damn well that person have been so genuine to you, you're going to feel some kind of way it's going to fuck with your energy. And you're going to carry that energy into the next relationship. And it's going to bother you because you ain't going to be able to get your all. You ain't going to be able to fall back when you see the person. You're going to be mad at the person because the person that called your ass out. But if it was on some even playing fields and it was balanced, you like, man, look, you did what you did. I did what I did. I gave you, you gave me the exact same amount of love. And when you have a conversation and trying to reconcile difference, it'll be so much more easier because people will reflect on, yeah, they did do that. She did do this. We was just tripping. We had fallouts. I tell people this. In order to gain something, you have to lose something. I'm going to say that again. In order to gain something, you have to lose something. When you want to be something of professional in this field of work or this field of sport and play or business or building something, you're going to lose sleep. You're going to be tired. You're going to have bags on your eyes. You're going to lose your beauty. You studying hard. You can't go out with your friends because you got a test. You got a paper due. So you're losing all that. But at the same time, you gaining something. And in relationships, sometimes you got to fall back so people could appreciate or value what you bring to the table. And so they'll know that they lost something good. And you better believe they know in the depths of their heart what you worth. Now, if you ain't worth shit, then yeah, you ain't worth shit. But if you know you done brought some shit to the table, meaning wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you done showed them a better way, you done helped them out of situations that could have cost them their life, you saved their life, you supported their children, you you seen how reckless the behavior of a person was, and you just sat down and, out of your quality time that you could have gave to your kids, and you gave it to them. Even with your children, you say so many things trying to have them on a right path, but they don't want to listen. But at the end of the day, when what goes around comes around, or when God gives them that grace, merciful period on teaching them, they go bump their damn head, but they reflect on what daddy or mama told them. But you also have to understand this. In relationships, my daddy say, identify who the hell you dealing with. You got to identify who you dealing with. What I mean by identify, what's their background, where they come from, how they was raised, because they inherit all that bullshit and they be affected fighting a fight. You have no idea. Every life is fighting a fight. You have no idea. So you got to take a lot of that into consideration. But if you know those things and you showed self-approved and worthy to speak on certain things that help elevate somebody, you can work on those weaknesses in them so that they won't affect you in your relationship as you go through this journey in which we call life. So it's very important to treat people how you want to be treated. I learned that the hard way, but I'm not saying that I mastered it, but the spirit of Cousin P is always giving something. And sometimes you have to disassociate yourself and you lose the friendship with the person or the relationship with the person to go get your shit together, because they don't value or know what you know, and it's affecting your relationship with them. So you got to distance yourself, because probably your approach, or probably the way you coming, or probably the way they acting, it's not sitting well. So you got to disassociate yourself, and maybe down the line they'll reflect, or a set of circumstances gonna hit somebody's life, and they're gonna know how valuable you were and come reaching out. So the first thing we have to do is, in relationships, is we have to be able to relate. We have to be able to be confined in a space with good energy, and once that energy is compromised or tampered with or interrupted, we need to have the ability to tune back into a good energy. But sometimes we have those that can't see past their damn nose, and you just have to disassociate yourself. And then you have those that have been so selfish that sometimes you got to speak to them in their language. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad say that God raises one from among the people to teach the people. He couldn't send us no Chinese man to teach the black man here in the hills of North America who been in slavery for 400 years. He couldn't send us no Arab. We don't follow Arabs. We follow our own. He said, so he raised one from among the people to teach the people. I'm saying all that to say this. We have to be able, if God says he sends one, or he raises one from among the people to teach the people, we need somebody to speak to us in our language that we may understand it. Because we can't understand no other language. So when you have people that's being disingenuous and not fair, and you being a certain way with good vibes and trying to be understanding and all this, I mean, that person don't appreciate you at all. And the more you try to be cool with the person, they continue to be a certain way because they not understanding your language of positive, or trying to be better, or trying to, get a resolution to the problem. So sometimes you got to speak to their ass in their language. Bitch ass nigga, I don't like the way you's a devil, you wicked. That's their language. That's the only thing they gonna understand, is when you come just as disrespectful as they are. Speak to them in their language so they can recognize how you feel, because they don't appreciate when you try to be humble, when you try to be respectful. So in relationships, sometimes you got to speak to these people in their goddamn language, because they don't understand normal. They don't understand positive. They don't understand trying. All they give a shit is about their own agendas. And they suck you in. And we give people the benefit of the doubt. And then they start with that bullshit, and we be like, damn, like that, and we be cool with it, hoping they see they fall to see they wrong. And this shit could go on for years, and they still don't get it. Until you start speaking to them in their language, they gonna wake. That's when they gonna wake up and recognize, and they gonna see the difference. They gonna see the good you and the bad you. But when they reflect, they gonna know, man, I should, family member was cool. I could have been a little bit better in that situation, opposed to thinking about myself. So, understand, dear family, want for your people what you want for yourself, want for a relationship what you want for yourself, and before you associate with people or in relationships, make sure you and that person relate. Because you are what you attract. If you some smoking weed, drinking, I don't knock nobody for what they do. I ain't never smoked a drink in my life. That shit ain't never interest me. But getting that paper, dude, whatever you are is what you bring around you, because you can relate to that shit. So motherfuckers smoking, drinking, that's because you can relate to that. Motherfuckers lazy. You could, and you see that shit, you go to motherfucker house, they house so goddamn nasty, and you won't even tell them, because it was a part of you once. You can relate to that shit. Hey, I'm telling motherfuckers off the rip what it is. Come on, man, we got to get this shit together. This shit don't even look right. Anybody know your cousin Pete from the beat? I'm going to address it. You heard me? Because I can't relate to that shit. So, you attract what you are. If you a half-ass motherfucker and you just like to be normal, see, I ain't into that I'm good. I want to be great. So sometimes I fall out with a lot of people because sometimes I can't relate no more after a certain period of time, because they doing the same shit, and I call them on their